it's like, oh, they need this. And I'm like, they may need it, but they don't recognize they need it. They want this thing over here, and you have to meet them where they are. If they don't see the need, they won't. If they don't have that desire, then you're going to have a lukewarm course instead of a hot selling course.
Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelec, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Donna. Donna, thank you so much for being here with us today.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad to have you. So give everybody a highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
Yes, I am Donna Ashton in Pawleys Island, South Carolina, and I'm the CEO of Work Less, Make More. And I wave my magic wand to help speakers, authors, and podcasters take what they've already created and start monetizing it with online courses or programs.
Yay! And the whole podcasting world rejoices.
Yay!
Right? So let's back up the bus a little bit. How did you get into this as your thing?
Yeah, weirdly enough, it was the way I started my business way back in like 2009, 2010. I was super busy. I was homeschooling my girls, and I just jumped right into the one-to-many model. I didn't realize you weren't supposed to do it that way. It's not the best way. It worked for me. And so I've been doing courses and programs for 15 years. And I kind of backed myself into it like that. So I was like, well, why would you do anything else if you could do this? So eventually I did start taking some clients and doing some things along the way. But for me, it's just been what I've always done in business. It just, feels like the most leveraged way to make money. And, I've grown from those original self-study type programs into more longer programs with, some support from me and some other things. But the basis of it is the same. And I just feel like courses can do so much and can be repurposed in so many ways that everyone should have something like that if it works for them in their business.
Nice. So who would you say it works best for?
Well, it's interesting. I was just doing my own podcast this morning, like who's the best course creator, in my opinion, and in this 2024 space of where we are, you really need to have the experience to come in and do it. I've had so many people like, oh, I lost 100 pounds and now I want to teach everyone else. I mean, and that's commendable and it's great. But I feel like you've got to have something under your belt for experience of how to teach others how to do it and getting some of that, as well as an audience. I think that's one of the biggest things, being an established business owner and then having some people to sell this to. You don't just put them online and magically they come and buy. Imagine that. It doesn't happen, unfortunately, or everybody would be billionaires, right?
Nice. So when it comes to kind of that magic, and I do see a huge trend where there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of experience in that arena that maybe they've been employees for their entire lives or their entire careers. And now they're kind of going, getting a job is not really an option anymore. Now, what do I do? Whether it's attitude or age or otherwise. Trust me, there's no bad reason to get into business for yourself, according to me. So it's all good. But why would, how does somebody recognize that I have kind of the value to give when they're used to being in a job? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's a really good question because I've worked with many professionals and people who have been in corporate and either left or want to get something going on the side so they can exit or have another stream of income if they get laid off or whatever. Or even like a doctor or a chiropractor, like having something a little bit more leveraged because you can only crack so many backs or massage somebody, so many people's bodies or whatever. Or even like website designers, like you can only do so much of that and you kind of tap yourself out. I think it's kind of hard sometimes for us to see our own stuff. Like I feel like when people come to me, they usually are like, I don't know if I have enough content or I don't know if I have enough experience. And I've never really turned anybody away. They've always usually have way more than what they think they need. They have they may not know everything about everything in their field, but there's probably that one thing that they're really good, right? Their brilliance, that thing that they could talk about without any problems. And they have it. They just don't always recognize it as being the thing that is the thing people want. And I always teach my clients to find your client's migraine problem and let your course be the solution, not a headache problem, because that's easily just taking some Advil and going on your way, but a migraine problem that's people can't continue on the way they have been, with what they're doing. And that if you're already people are already knowing they have a problem and they need you as a solution, it'll be a lot easier for them to find you, rather than just, people don't realize and what they're doing, or they think this is what the people want, but it's really something else. There's a lot of that when people come to me. It's like, oh, they really they need this, and I'm like, they may need it, but they don't recognize they need it. They want this thing over here, and you have to meet them where they are. If they don't see the need, they won't. If they don't have that desire, then you're going to have a lukewarm course instead of a hot selling course.
So how do somebody recognize what the difference is? Because a lot of people, when they have that experience, they finally have drilled down to the fact that, yeah, they wanted sugar, but what they really needed was vegetables. Because you're not selling the vegetables kind of thing. Like, how do you find that thing that they're craving?
Well, I think there's one of the easiest ways is to go ask. It's sort of the old fashioned way that I used to teach. Like, guess what? Go ask some people what they want. And I have like these questions, like you have to frame it. Don't just say, what do you want in your business? But like really, if you're let's say a money mindset coach, like frame it in something that when you get the answer back it will make sense to you. Because what if they say, I need to hire a VA or something? I mean, you have to frame it. So when it comes to making money in your business, what is holding you back, or what is the thing you most want, or what is the big challenge? Like, you have to frame these questions so that you're not just getting this huge, generic thing, and keep drilling down. If you have an ideal client, ask if you can have a chat with them on the phone for 10 minutes and just ask some of these questions. What did you really come to me for? What did you think you needed? So many times, once they work with you, they may already know, oh, I thought I needed, to lose 10 pounds, but what I really needed was to eat better or whatever, right? Like, so there's that thing. The other thing that there's a little cheat with the AI, and I've put that into my course programs, is that you could go ask AI. I mean, I don't want to totally be the only thing, but you could do some research over there to kind of get things rolling. If you're like, I just don't even know where to start, I still highly recommend talking to live people. But if you're like, I really think this is what it is, and if you put all the right information in and it's like, yes, this is what it wants, then you've got your validation for the topic of the course.
Nice. Well, and I did notice with AI, when I put things in, either it's a little too generic, or it's nice for other people, but that's not necessarily my ideal client, but they think it is. And it's like, no, I know that my ideal client's not thinking that. I know they're not thinking that. So it totally makes sense to go and just go to the source and ask them, because AI doesn't know who your client is and they can't answer for your client, but your client can.
Exactly. Or you really have to you have to know your client and put all of that in. Like, you have, it's like in the old days when we didn't know how to do Google searches. For those of you who are that old, you get out what you put in. My husband still can't quite figure it out. He's like, how do you always get that? I'm like, well, you have to know how to ask. And it's sort of the same thing, right? You've got to put in the right things. This is what my clients are, this is what you've got to give that too. So there's a little learning curve when it comes to that. It's not quite there. Yeah, but it could give a little validation if you're like, I'm hearing the same thing over and over again, and this feels like the right thing. And many people, if they have worked with people one-to-one, they kind of have an inkling of, oh, I'm really feeling like this is what people are always saying. This is the questions they're always asking. So go back and look at some of your sales intake forms, or some of your clients. What did they tell you when they wanted to start working with you? Or if you're, again, like you were saying, they're not really there yet, then you've got to go out a little further. Go to some Facebook groups, go out and ask some questions, and don't just take the first answer. Look for patterns. Look for the 10 people that said this, not the one person that said something you're like, what in the world? Because you'll always get those outliers.
Awesome. Can totally go down that rabbit hole, but I'm not going to. So when it comes to kind of setting up courses and doing them one to many, what is it? Let's start with what does it look like to work with you? What do they need to have in place? And then how do you kind of get the ball rolling?
Yeah, well, I have like a done for you service and a done with you.
Mm.
So if you want, either way, though, you have to record your own modules and that type of thing. I'm not
Right, you
doing
don't
the
do that.
record. I do not. I don't know my stuff, your stuff, like you know your stuff. So I think they don't need a lot. Like I've had people come and they're like, I just don't think I have enough, enough information. I don't have anything pre-done, and can pull it out of them. I feel like if they have the experience, and once I talk to them for about 30 or 45 minutes, I'm like, you have plenty. But if they do have stuff, then I have them put it all into a Google Drive. If you have a book you've written, if you have a talk you've given, a workshop, if you have, 2 years of podcast episodes, I'm not going to go through them all, but I can like look through some of this. If you have a PowerPoint presentation that is around what you think you want it to be around, you can send some of that over and I will start to get a sense for where we're headed. But I still like to talk to people because I don't want people just to come and go, I'm just going to create this course. I really look at everybody's like their entire business model. Like where is this going to fit in with what you're already doing? We want it to make sense. We want it to be something that fits in easily and not like this other whole thing that we have to now create. And now it's like running a second business. You know what I mean? So have them make sense, make the price point make sense with the rest of what they're doing so that it all feels cohesive and feels like it's just a part of the customer journey. So I want to do that. I want to get them prepared and make sense for what they're doing. And then I mean, I can really go as fast as they can go. It's not that long as far as like let's decide on the outline, like what are we going to put inside. I really spent some time with people doing that. What is the outcome of this course? Because especially if you've been in business for a while or you have a lot of knowledge, it's like we can't teach everyone everything you know in this one program. It's just going to be too much. So I try to get them really honed in on looking at that migraine problem, looking at what people really, really want. And can you give them a win here? Can you give them something where they can absolutely get to the end of this and have success? And then we put our blinders on and try to say, do not put anything else in this course that doesn't directly relate to this. Because especially women, we want to give them all the stuff and we want to give everything they ever thought they may need to know, and it's just too much. 99% of the time that's what's happening, and I'm like, we have to cut this back a little bit. Do you really need this, or can we cut this down? So I really try to make it a good marketable course that people can take and that they can get to the end of it with success. Because if they don't finish your course, I mean, they may have purchased from you, but they're not getting what you're hoping they're going to get. They're not getting the end where they can say, oh my gosh, I just took Michelle's course and it was so amazing. And you got to take it too, right? You want that people shouting about it and telling all about it so that people will, little word will spread. So it's not just about like putting some content together, but it's putting it together in a way that is great for you and is great for your student. Selling, marketable, people want it, easy to go through, and making it like a digestible program that they will get to and finish.
So usually when I'm talking to people about this, they're not really familiar kind of with the difference between taking a course in a business algorithm in person. I'm thinking analog and digital. It's not analog. It's not the word I'm looking for. And a digital course. And in digital courses, you need to have what we call the ladder of ascension. So it's not necessarily that everybody's going to climb the ladder of ascension in the way that you write it, but kind of having that kind of the little steps and the bigger steps contribute to more time and attention and all that kind of fun stuff. Do you want to address that and kind of how their course can fit in and how they know where it fits in? Because there's some that are going to be kind of your flagship courses that are going to take you to the nth degree. And some of them are going to be like $200 course that, hey, go and do this. And then you'll be prepared to come and talk to me and do business with me.
Okay, a couple things on this. First, I'm going to say I am not a big fan of $200 courses. I know people do them. I am more of a fan of a higher end course for so many reasons that it's just as hard to market $200 course as it is to market a $1,000 course. And if you don't have a big list, as we were saying, if you don't have a lot of traffic coming your way, if you're just getting started and you have $1,000 course, it's a lot easier to sell one or two of those a month just by networking or social media or speaking somewhere or putting it on, I've got this course on my podcast or whatever, right? Than it is to try to sell a bunch of those $97, $200 courses that people will do. That being said, um, I yes, I feel like no matter what you're doing, it should be some kind of step-by-step process. I have people like telling me, "Here's my course, just help me market it." And I look at it and I'm like, that's just a bunch of random information. And while it's valuable, it makes it really hard for your student to get through that, right? It's just a bunch of stuff. So I will help them, like, let's go through it. What's the very first step that you need to do? What's the next step? What's the next step? We do that in the process of making sure that it makes sense, even if it is just the first part of what you do, right? Perhaps you can't teach that inside of a course, or you don't want that, or you do want to have this downsell or this, like, let me just dip my toe and see if I like you before I join your big program, and I just want the first piece. There still is like steps to getting you to that first place. Like me, even just, I'm just going to use keto because I've been on keto for a long time. So say you want to lose 30 pounds on keto. And the very first step is, what is keto, right? What does that even mean? And there's a lot of things you have to learn about keto before you even start keto, right? So I'm just using this. So perhaps this is like the intro into keto course. And you still have to know, okay, well, the first thing you do is like look in your pantry, whatever. There are second, like there are still steps to take you through so that people understand the pros and cons and how it works and how it doesn't work, and all of that. So there's still that piece of creating, and I hope I'm answering the question you're asking, but there's still sort of a, like, look at this and how can we still break this down so that it takes them through the problem that they have. And the problem they have now is they want to start keto, they don't even know where to start. Or they could spend, like I did, like a month, like watching tons of videos on YouTube and then going, oh my gosh, that's all, there's so many different things on here. So it's like distilling all of that into a very simple thing, which sounds like, who is going to buy that? But if you're interested in it and you want to go get it and you want to look at it, and like, it could be maybe just 3 modules, but still it's very important to the person who's getting ready to go into the next thing, which may be her big coaching program that takes them through the keto, whatever. But this little intro to keto, do I even want to do this? And is this possible for me? And all of that could all be answered in that like little mini course or intro course.
Love it. So when it comes to kind of when it comes to the data that somebody's giving, if they're a technician and they're teaching somebody kind of how to hit the keyboard, or if they're more kind of big thinkers and it's a philosophy course, is there a difference in the way that you're treating those courses? Does one fit better to an online course?
I don't think so. I mean, I have done so many different industries and so many different markets. I have done hundreds of courses for all kinds of different people, from a singer to a plumber to coaches, doctors, lawyers, chiropractors, your basic life coaches and business coaches. So it's been all across the board. I think the way that I think that it's still the same structure that I'm taking them through, but I will look at it with a little bit different lens. Do they need to have more visuals? Do they need to have like yoga poses or something, right? Or showing a video or whatever. Some people don't want to be on video. And I'm like, you don't have to do video. You don't have to do slides. You don't have to do slides if you're just giving information. And also, I look at it from, is this how to house train your puppy, where they just need these 5 modules real quickly so they can get through it and you just deliver it all together at once? Or is this more of a mindset thing where they're going to have to work on some things this week and dive into their inner whatever, right? Like changing their mindset. Should we drip it out where they only get this one module to work on this week, and then next week we'll add to that next thing? So it's all about the delivery and really looking. I don't do like cookie cutter type courses, obviously. So it's like looking at the best way to deliver this for the person and for the student taking it, how it all fits together. But yeah, I would look at it a little bit different, but the structure is still the same. I mean, it's still taking them from this to this, right? If they're here and they want to be over here, what are the steps that we need to get them there? And then it's just the best way to deliver that based on the course creator themselves and their clients. We always take a look, like, who are we selling this to? We really get deep. If it's to baby boomers, then we need to make it as simple as possible. Nothing against baby boomers, but you know what I'm saying? Like the tech, maybe don't make it super confusing or whatever. If it's a Gen Z or something, they have no problem with that. So we're also looking at who they are, who's going to be your target focus, and making sure that we are delivering it in a way that is good for them too, and that will make it easier for them to finish.
Love it. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you for a Cinderella story of one of your clients. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.
I'm super excited to hear about a Cinderella story of one of your clients.
Yeah, so let me tell you about Whitney, let's just say. so, so yeah, she came to me and was working tons of hours and had young children and was sort of all over the place in her business. She was somewhat new in her business, not real new, but maybe like 3 years in, and just was overloaded with the amount of people that were coming through, and that she was doing a lot of different things, like, oh, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do, like we're want to do, right? When we're getting started, we're not really sure exactly what to charge, and just saying yes to a lot of people. But finally she's like, I'm at the place now where I'm out of time. Like her calendar was just like crazy. So I'm like, let me help you create this course. So we went through, and she fought me on some of it. She felt like they needed so much. She was going to do like a live version and do like 2 live calls a week. I'm like, okay. And tried to have like 12 modules and everything. And I tried to, kind of take her down a little bit with that and say, let's just get them to the win, right? Let's not like a fire hose. But she's fought me a little bit, but she still had an amazing like launch, I don't remember what her price point was. It may have been like $1,500 or something like that. And I think she sold maybe 15. And again, and I'm terrible with math, but it was she was like, holy crap. It's like, I think when you do that, it sort of changes the perspective, right? Like, wow, I only have to show up. For her, it was like, I only have to do 2 calls a week. To me, I was like, wow, that's a lot for people, because it's like, do they need 2 live calls and like dropping a module every week? But to her, she was like, 15 people, 2 calls, amazing. But and so she just, had a great like beta launch out, and then came back to me later and said, I decided the next round I'm only going to do 1 call. And she said, I should have listened to you. But she just kind of put it out to her list and was like, who wants to do this? And had a lot of great people to to kind of say yes to her offer. But she's like, that just changed the way she looked at her business. And it's like, okay, I want to always have some kind of course or program running because of the leverage it gives me. And it's kind of a big boom in too if you do it that way, like, woohoo, the money comes in and you're like, excellent. And then you deliver it, but there's not that much of you once the course is created. There's not a lot, or some people don't want to do any. I like to have some kind of support, and I recommend for that higher price point to give a little bit. But yeah, she's like, wow. It just like opened her mind up to like, oh, now I see what you're talking about.
Nice. And just for perspective, people, I used to work with PTSD and I only did once a week. So it's like, there's a lot, and then there's a lot for them. And it's like, okay, I need some off time, even when it's a case of life or death. It's like, no, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. If you need to get a hold of me, you can, and
I
everybody
mean,
was
I think
fine.
that's the thing about courses sometimes is you can run it and then it's not set in stone.
Right.
You can change the price, you can change some things, you can add, you can subtract. I usually do, and I usually encourage my people, like, run it once, see how it goes,
Mhm.
tweak it, and then it's even better.
Nice. I love it. So when it comes to the marketing of it, how do you work with that? Because I know that some people can have a phenomenal course, people want it, they need it, and then it goes to launch and it's like, boo.
Crickets. Yeah. Yeah, or the other, yeah, either no one comes in if you don't have anyone to launch it to, or you're expecting something else, or you might have this woohoo, you have a warm universe of
Yeah.
people and you can launch it out to them and, like, okay, I got 8 people or 10 people or whatever it is in, and then you're like, okay, if you want to go launch it again next month or, in a couple months, like, you can't keep launching the same course to the same list over
People.
and over again. Eventually you're going to run out of people, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't feel that you need to do these Facebook ads and have this complicated funnel. I've done all that, and I mean, and it does work, but it's like a solopreneur nightmare, right? If you don't have a big team, you're trying to do it, or you're paying someone out the yin yang to run all of that for you. It's just so that you're spending. I was spending like $2,000 and $3,000 a month on Facebook ads, and then hoping. I mean, I was getting it back, but like a huge chunk went to all of that. So I feel like this is another reason why I like a higher price point on the course, which we mentioned earlier. If your course is $1,000 and you sell 3 a month, that's a really nice little extra additional revenue stream coming in, and you don't have to do a ton of marketing. What you do need is some way to sell the course, because I will just say, even if you have a lot of people, just putting it on your website is not going to sell your course. Just mentioning it on Facebook is not going to be enough. So I help my clients create what I call the movie trailer. So I need to really, like, trademark that, but I don't know if I could. But, like, instead of just doing a boring old webinar that everybody just is like, at this point, nobody wants to do that, but creating some excitement, right? Like, I won't go to the movies unless I watch the movie trailer. And though we're not trying to, like, somebody, have it so crazy.
The
I
whole
mean,
Star Wars thing. Exactly.
yeah, once upon a time in a land far away. But you do need people to know you, see you, like what you're saying, and like the way you're saying it, right? There is something to be said for being seen as an expert, giving them a little bit of something of value on their solving a bit of a problem, but then now they have all these other problems, and it's like, and leading right into how the course is the solution to what they need. So there's a formula for it. It's not just like, some people are like, can I just pull a module out of my course and just put that as my workshop? I'm like, no. You
No, you
have to,
can never do
not
that,
if
by
you
the way.
want to sell your course.
You can never do that. Education and marketing are two totally different things. Totally
You
different.
got right. And it's not just, let me just give all the stuff away, because then people are like, bye, thank you, I don't need
Got
to.
it.
Like, there is a thing that, there is a formula to creating a converting workshop or webinar, or in this case, I'm going to call it a movie trailer. I don't think it has to be 90 minutes. Like, I did those too, and I don't think you need to do that these days. But there is something to be said for doing something that you can send all your people to.
Mhm.
They just come watch your trailer, and then they go to a sales page, and then there is a follow-up emails behind it that then they can self-select whether they want to do it, or if they have to have a conversation with you, or whatever you have in that automation. But having an automation done, ready to go, is a lot easier to sell than just you trying to send someone to a sales page randomly, or, yeah, I have this really cool course, while you're on a podcast, and then trying to just send them again to a sales page or something. It's not as effective, and all you have to do is just send people to this one place. It's going to be a lot easier for you to put that into your marketing and to put that out onto social media, or talk about it when you're speaking or in networking. And it's going to be a lot more effective than just, hey, I have a course, who wants to sign up, which I see a lot, like a big announcement. Yeah, no.
That would be like, yeah, MGM coming out. Hey, we got a new movie. Want to come see it?
Exactly. It's like people must think people are just waiting. They can't wait. They're just waiting by their computers. When will it come out? I mean, none of that happens. Look at how long in advance those movie people send. I mean, I see trailers like 8 months in advance, like it's coming next summer. And I'm like, what? It's October, So there's a lot of things that happen in between, and you have to do some of that too. But you don't have to do it I mean, if you're just trying to sell a handful, it's easier than having to sell 30 a month to make, and that is a whole different animal when you're thinking about those big, it becomes numbers. And I think it's better to find the right people and be more of an organic type thing where you can just sell, yeah, I made $5,000 and I only made 3 sales, right?
Yeah, and you bring up a great point, because I think this whole idea of the movie trailer is fantastic, especially right now when we laugh that people have the attention span of gnats. But we also make decisions at record pace, right? We can make a decision faster. We don't need 90 minutes anymore. We want the content, and there's a science, and a friend of mine used to call it, and a black magic to marketing, where you're creating that intrigue. You're giving them some information and you're covering the formula, but you've got to create that intrigue, and anybody can be intriguing, from the ShamWow guy to the church mouse, and they'll do it in their own way.
I like what you're saying. Like, it doesn't take 90 minutes. I mean, back when I started selling courses, people didn't even know what they were, right? It was this weird, what is this? And how is it all going to work? And so people know what they are now, right? You don't need to do that. It's like, we have to, and I feel like that it's time to kind of catch up with, telling people now, close all of your tabs and stick with me till the end. I'm like, do we really have to have that? I mean, I don't know. I'm like,
that doesn't even happen when I'm recording them.
I'm like, I did say that, but it was like in 2011, and people were like, what tabs? I don't know,
Right? What's a tab?
What's a tab? I mean, I used to sell from teleseminars before it was just people staring at like a picture of me or some flowers for an hour and a half, and it still worked. They didn't even see me back then. There was no video, there was no webinar. So it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that canned production that people hate, and 90 minutes of your time and all of that.
You're fabulous. I know our listeners are going to want more from you. How did they start that journey with you?
Yeah, you can come check out my website, which is donnaashton.com, or I do have a podcast called The Mystic Mike, Turn Your Words into Wealth. So check out either one of those. I would love to have you over to listen to more of my funny stories and different things all about creating courses and getting some more time back in your life.
Nice. And who doesn't want more money and more time? Yeah, you're crazy if you don't, because there's so much to do. It's awesome. So I know our listeners are going to want more from you. Click on the links below and open them up in a new browser, because we're not done yet. Donna, I get to ask you, at what point in life did you know you were a special kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
I think back in my early 20s, when I was just always trying to like change at my job, I would come in with like a list of things that they needed to do better, that they were doing wrong, and what would be a better way for them to run their business. I figured probably about that time that maybe I should start thinking about doing my own business.
That's awesome. You've been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
I just want to say courses do still work. I think they've gotten a bad rap, for the people who don't know what they're doing or tried some of these things but didn't have the full recipe on how to do it. It still is an amazing way to make impact, to make more money, to leverage time in your business. You just need to know what those ingredients are and kind of follow the recipe to make it work. And it does work.
Absolutely. And shorten the learning curve, people. Do not take 20 years like some of us did to do that. Do not do that. Please don't do that. Just go ahead and get a hold of Donna. Go click on the links, and she will be sure to hold your hand through the process and make sure that you're doing it right. Awesome.
Thanks.
Donna, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and I know how valuable it is.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Awesome. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.